Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Sorry for the late video. I know it's almost 10 o'clock here in Austin, but wanted to get this out before I went to bed. So wanted to go over the SPY puts trade from Friday that was posted in the chat room. So the idea was posted right after market open. You could see that this is your pre-market high here, and this is your pre-market low. Immediately off the open, we just rocketed through this pre-market high, and then just immediately failed, right? So we came down. So I was leaning bearish just because of that, and also the recent market action of late. And also, if we look at, let's look at the 2 hour. We can see here, sorry for all the lines, this is literally how I trade, like a fucking schizo. Anyway, so you see it's like respecting this kind of trend here. So I'm thinking, it'll reject this trend line resistance here. Obviously with trend lines, you're not going to be exact every time, but we got there and close enough for me. Just failed follow through basically. So that was my first clue to be bearish here. Let's go to the 1 minute because this was all happening pretty quickly. So the idea that was posted was SPY puts under 450.8 could work, and then add more under 450.5 confirmation break. So I couldn't really explain this live in the feed as to why these were the levels. 450.8 is that big level that I've been mentioning all week. So you see it's classic support and resistance, right? I could keep going way back. But you see it's bouncing here, here, whatever. It's like your typical support. And then for the orb trade, you get this 450.5 level, which you can see here is like your pre-market low basically, from this area here. Keep in mind that this is what's called an orb trade, which stands for open range break. This is pretty much what I do off the open almost every day for any day trade. So you saw we had the orb through the pre-market highs. I mean, that's a trade you can take, right? But it immediately got stuffed. So that was the first clue. Came back down and then rejected this 450.8 level, right? And then it found support at the pre-market low here and then tried to reclaim this 450.8 level. So I did post in the Discord that I said I was waiting for orb confirmation. So what that means is I want to see this 450.5 level break to the downside if I want confirmation for my puts. So what I said was I took some small SPY puts here on this bounce with a tight leash. So tight leash means like this right here, like 451 would be my stop out. So then I said waiting for orb confirmation. So you see we back tested this 450.8 level. This is where I took my puts, starter position, and then I saw immediately, you saw this red candle through this orb confirmation level that I was referring to. So then I added more puts here on this break, and then after that it was straight just bear flag down, bear flag down, bear flag down. So another thing that I posted was the only support I see is 448.5. So just natural tendency of the market is to do these kind of little consolidations on the way down, just like it does on the way up. And so there wasn't really any major support. So this 450.8 level is a pretty big level. So I was like, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to see these. So I cut puts along the way because you never know what can happen. It's always good to lock profits, but I was pretty confident in seeing this price target based off of the morning action, right? So that was pretty much where I cut this trade, 448.5. Then you saw this was a bear flag too. I mean, we can just take a look at what we saw there, right? So I pretty much cut the trade on this candle somewhere here. I was like, it was over 100% on those SPY puts. I was in the September 10th for, I think it was like 1.8 or something like that, 452.5 strike. So I was pretty happy with that trade. You never know what can happen off of this major support, right? Then I actually went away from the screens for a little bit because I didn't want to get caught up in the chop in case it wanted to retest this 450.8, whatever. So I ended up missing this next move here through this 448.5 level, which was actually an even better trade. So literally the same exact thought process here, right? So you gave up this 450.8 level, and then it's like another key level break, right? So you want to see this. If you miss this level break, then what you do is you wait for the back test, right? So if we just go all the way forward, oops, let's turn off this replay. Where were we? Yeah, so right here. So if you miss this move here, you can wait for that back test that you saw there. So I had some alerts go off, so I came back and reloaded some puts here on this back test. But that was just a scalp trade for me because, I mean, honestly, the risk to reward here is just, it's not great. So I just took a scalp. I think it was like from here to here, honestly. It wasn't anything crazy. And then you can see it kind of chopped the rest of the day, and I'm not concerned with that. And then even went back up, reclaimed this 448.5 level, and then came back down during power hour. So this was a trade that I entirely missed here. But another trade idea, same thing as before, right? You give up this level, you give up this level, you give up this level, and these levels are all from my macro level chart. But this is where this got really interesting. So you see here, this was a key level. It kind of aligns with this trend line that I mentioned earlier, kind of respecting that general trend. And then here's where I started watching the VIX. So we gave up this level, and then it's trying to find support on this trend line, whatever. And then so what I did was I pulled up the VIX at the same time. And it aligned with this 20 level, right? So if you look at this 20 level on the VIX, it hasn't been able to get above the 20 level since, August 20th. So, what happened first was, if I go to the 1 minute chart here, so this was 320, right? It says it right here at the bottom. This is where I'm looking. So 320, 322, 321. So what happened was the VIX broke that 20 level here. So right here at 447. So that happened before this trend line broke, right? So that was like confirmation that we're gonna break this trend line. When I saw the VIX explode through that 20 level, and it hadn't all week, that gives me confirmation that we're gonna lose this trend, right? Like, let's go to the 15-minute chart. All week we haven't been able to break VIX 20, which means we've been maintaining the trend, right? We've been bouncing off of these trend lines, basically is what that means. So go back to the 1 minute. So let's see, when did we finally break that? 335. So 335. The VIX was already above 20, and then just goes vertical. So I think I posted like expect VIX 20 to 21 in the Discord, and this is exactly the range where we topped out. Why did I say 20 to 21? Because if you look at the daily, you can see that VIX has that downward sloping wedge. And once you see this wedge, you'll never unsee it, by the way. So good luck unseeing this wedge. It's just this big wedge that eventually is going to break out, right? Who knows if it's going to happen here, wherever, right? But it's just coiling up, right? So it's respecting this contracting formation. So that's the resistance that I was playing to. So I said expect 20 to 21, and that was pretty much what we got here, right? So I mean, that's where I would exit my puts in that VIX 20 to 21. range there. So yeah, I can make another video on this whole VIX thesis, but that's something entirely different. I use the VIX to day trade for SPY pivots and trend lines like I just showed you guys here, but definitely gives you guys like big clues on macro sentiments, so it's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, so that was the trade for me. I guess just a quick looking forward into next week. For SPY, we have some key levels. Let's go back to the 2 hour. So this red line here is the 50-day. Pretty much been my bread and butter for buying the dip. This spot I actually took puts because I was like, what the hell? We gave up this 380 level back in March. But anyway, so buying the dip off this 50-day has been a big money maker for me. And it usually aligns with key levels. So what to watch for this week is, the levels are 445. These are just based off of support and resistance. And then 441 is another big level that also happens to align with the 50-day. So if I just show you guys that level there. So, I don't know if it's going to happen on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, but we have the whole quad witching, which ends on Friday, and then on the 22nd, which is next Tuesday, we have the Fed meeting that everyone is, looking out for, talking about tapering and how the Fed is going to fuck with the rates. So something to keep an eye out for. This 50-day, I want to say with like pretty high confidence that we're going to see this 50-day over the next 2 weeks, and probably sooner than 2 weeks, probably 1 week. So look for that. That's a trade idea that you can play. Either puts through this 445 level to the downside. Let's see where we open tomorrow. Or you can play calls off of this 440, let's call it 440, 441 level. There's more levels to the downside. Usually what happens is you give up the 50-day and then it reclaims it. Didn't happen this time, but happened pretty much all of the other times you see. Gave it up. Bears think they're in control. Boom. Fuck you, Bears. And then boom. New all-time highs again. So that's just the nature of the market. A lot of punk moves. Just be careful of that. If you're going to take any of these ideas, obviously none of this is financial advice, but this is how I trade. So wanted to give you guys an insight on that. I'm expecting a pretty choppy week. A lot of times when you give up these trend lines, you back test them. Sometimes you'll back test and fail, and sometimes you'll reclaim them. So if we reclaim this, which is totally possible, we could retest this 447 level, 448, 5, and even come back all the way up to 450. Nothing's out of the question. Just expect a lot of volatility this week is what I would say, and just keep an eye out for some interesting price action. I think it's going to be a great week for day trades. Personally, I'm going to be sticking to SPY basically. I have some other ideas, but that's not what this video is about. I just want to talk about SPY in this one, so keep an eye out for some volatility. I think it's going to be a good week for day traders. All right, hope this was helpful.